Bantam Doubleday Dell Audio Publishing presents Shot in the Heart by Mikal Gilmore. Prologue. I have dreamed a terrible dream. In this dream, it is always night. We are in my father's house, an old charred brown 1950s-era home. Shingled, two-story, and weather-worn, it is located on the far outskirts of a dead-end American town, pinioned between the night lights and smoking chimneys of towering industrial factories. In front of the house, forming the border to a forest I am forbidden to trespass, lies a moonlit stretch of railroad track. Throughout the night of the dreams, you can hear a train whistle howling in the distance, heralding the approach of a passenger car from the outside world. For some reason, no train ever follows this signal. There's only the howl. In the house, people come and go, moving between the darkness outside and the darkness inside. These people are my family, and in the dream, they are all back from the dead. There is my mother, Bessie Gilmore, who lived a life of bitter losses, who died spitting blood, calling the names of her father and her husband, men who had long before brutalized her hopes and her love, crying to them for mercy, for a passage into the darkness that she had so long feared. There is my brother Galen, who died young of old wounds, as his new bride sat at his side, holding his hand, watching the life pass from his sunken face. There is my brother Gary, who murdered innocent men in rage against the way life had robbed him of too much time and too much love, and who died when a volley of bullets tore his violent, tortured heart from his chest. There is my brother Frank, who turned increasingly quiet and distant with each new death, who was last seen walking down a road nearby the night house of this dream, his hands rammed deep into his pockets, a look of uncomprehending pain seizing his face. And there is my father, Frank Sr., who died from the ravages and insults of cancer. Of all the family members, he is in these dreams the least, and when he is there, I end up feeling guilt over his presence. I am always happy to see him, it turns out, but nobody else is. That's because in the dreams, as in life, there is the fear that my father will spread anger and ruin too far for his family to survive, that he will somehow find a way to kill those who have already been killed, who have already paid dearly for his legacy. When he appears, sometimes the point of the dream is to convince him that the only cure for all the bitterness, for all the bad blood, is for him to return to death. Lie down, Father, we say. Let us bury you again. Finally, there is me. I watch my family in these dreams and seem always to feel apart from the fraternity, as if there is a struggle here for love and participation that somehow I always fail, and so I watch as my brothers come and go. I look out the windows and see them move in the darkness outside, through the bushes, across the yard, toward the driveway. I watch cars cross the railway tracks. I watch them come and take my brothers and deliver them back, and I know they are moving to and from underworlds that I cannot take part in because for some reason I cannot leave this house. Then one night, years into these dreams, Gary tells me why I can never join my family in its comings and goings, why I am left alone, sitting in the living room as they leave, It is because I have not yet entered death. I cannot follow them across the tracks into the forest where their real lives take place, he says, until I die. He pulls a gun from his coat pocket. He lays it on my lap. There is a door across the room, and he moves towards it. Through the door, there is the night. I see the glimmer of the train tracks. Beyond them, my family. See in the darkness beyond, he says. I do not hesitate. I pick the pistol up. I put its barrel in my mouth. I pull the trigger. I feel the back of my head erupt. It is a softer feeling than I expect. I feel my teeth fracture and disintegrate and pass in a gush of blood out of my mouth. I also feel my life pass out of my mouth, and in that instant I feel a collapse into nothingness. There is darkness, but there is no beyond. There is never any beyond, only the sudden, certain rush of extinction. I know that it is death I am feeling. That is, I know this is how death must truly feel, and I know that this is where beyond ceases to be a possibility. I have had this dream more than once, in various forms. I always wake at this point, my heart hammering hard, hurting for being torn back from the void that I know is the gateway to the refuge of my ruined family. Or is it the gateway to hell? Either way, I want back into the dream, but in those haunted hours of the night, there is no way back. I have a story to tell. It is a story of murders. Murders of the flesh and of the spirit. Murders born of heartbreak, of hatred, of retribution. I know this story well because I've been stuck inside it. I've lived with its causes and effects, its details and indelible lessons my entire life. I know the dead in this story. I know why they made death for others and why they sought it for themselves. And if I ever hope to leave this place, I must tell what I know. So let me begin. I am the brother of a man who murdered innocent men. His name was Gary Gilmore, and he would end up as one of modern America's more epical criminal figures. But it wasn't his crimes, the senseless murders of two young Mormon men on consecutive nights in July 1976, that won him his notoriety. Instead, what made Gary famous was his involvement in his own punishment. His murders took place not long after the United States Supreme Court had cleared the way for the renewal of capital punishment, and Utah, the place where he had murdered, had been among the first states to pass legislation restoring the death penalty. But practicing it was another matter. When Gary received his death sentence in the fall of 1977, nobody had been executed in America in more than a decade, and despite its new laws, the country still didn't have much taste for legal bloodshed. All that changed with Gary Gilmore. On November 1st, 1976, Gary refused his right to appeal his sentence and insisted that the state go ahead and meet the date it had set for his death. Immediately, he hit a national nerve, and nearly every day and night for the next few months he made headline news. There were arguments, delays, and intrigues. There was even a love story. But through it all, Gary remained fierce and unswerving in his determination to die. He even tried his own hand at it twice, and he put the state of Utah and death penalty advocates in a difficult, unexpected spot. He made them not just his allies, but also his servants, men who would kill at his bidding to suit his own ideals of ruin and redemption. By insisting on his own execution, Gary seemed to be saying, "There's really nothing you can do to punish me, because this is precisely what I want. You will help me with my..."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?